I always want to make certain that what we're fighting for is what the community wants. And Cadre makes certain that what we're fighting for, what they're fighting for, is not only what the community wants, but the community is at the table and playing a real role in ensuring that it happens and that it reflects the needs of the community, the needs of the parents, and the needs of the children.
From 2008 to 2010, I was a Skadden Fellow at Mental Health Advocacy Services, and I had designed a project to support Cadre's parent monitoring by doing the sort of legal support end of it in partnership with Public Counsel to do Public Records Act requests and other kind of systemic level issues where we ended up together doing Public Records Act requests for all of the documentation of school-wide positive behavior support in Local District 7, and then spent together about 9 months going through every single school binder, about over 70 schools in South LA together, and then issuing this shadow report, Redefining Dignity, in June 2010. When I started the project, and then Laura Fair, when she was the directing attorney for children's rights and I was a fellow, the project was really looking how could we support community monitoring with this legal framework where Cadre and other partners, including Public Counsel, had already had a policy victory. So that's what I think is really important and interesting about the work, is that it wasn't, the project that we started wasn't about we're going to change policy in LAUSD, because that victory had already happened. It was what is the much harder, less sexy work of continuing to push on the district to pay attention to what was happening to students in South LA, and especially to African American male students who had the highest levels of disproportionality.
So as a lawyer, we always want to get to the solution, right? When we see a problem, we want to solve it. And sometimes that can be a good thing, and other times we can lose sight of what's critical, which is that our parents and the community need to be engaged in our work. And they not only need to be engaged from the side, they need to be engaged in front of our work. They need to be guiding our work and ensuring that it really meets the needs of what that community needs and reflective of, what's actually happening on the ground in that community, the real problems.
Cadre parents who were involved in their schools were able to look at all that documentation, or the lack thereof, from their schools and be able to say, oh, they said this was a PBIS meeting. I was at that meeting. I'm signed in. That's not what we did at all at that meeting. We've been asking to see this data or to understand about these interventions, and that isn't happening, and that's not what happened there. So we could really give a really nuanced perspective on those issues back to the district. In the work that we've done as attorneys, that we've supported and found ways through our kind of legal community partnership to help provide the kind of information that backs up what is already really powerful storytelling and pushback that Cadre parents are doing. So where a Cadre parent leader like Eddie Madison or Sylvia Mendez could share that here they are volunteering almost every day at their children's school, then with the Public Records Act request we could get all of the documentation around what the school was or wasn't doing around interventions with students and whether they're recording suspension. So I think together it just creates a really powerful monitoring perspective for the district.
How do we do a better job as civil rights lawyers of making certain that we reflect the needs of community, that we engage in a really active and meaningful way, and that we ensure that, again, community and parents are leading the struggle? And so that interplay and that ongoing dialogue, which can be hard at times, right? Because those are hard questions and hard discussions to have about power and about equality and about structural racism and about, interpersonal dynamics and about, educational power that lawyers have, right? Those are difficult conversations, but having those conversations makes you a better lawyer, and it makes you a better lawyer that respects communities' leadership in this process. And so I think through all of those conversations and that dialogue, I've become a better community lawyer. I've become a lawyer who wants to make certain that we constantly have community and parents leading the fights. And so it's every day a work in progress, but it is cadre that I think of whenever I'm having those conversations with other lawyers, whenever I'm in a community setting or in a statewide setting about how do we make all of these processes more accessible in a real and meaningful way for our communities and our parents. I'm just really excited to see what we can do in the future, because I do believe that if we actually can address this issue and we can do it in a way that ensures that students get real alternatives and that schools are set up in a way to actually embrace all the needs of children and their families and truly make the types of internal changes that you need to make to say, you know, that child is driving me crazy today, but I'm going to hold them closer. I'm going to give them more support. I'm going to ask them what's going on instead of saying I'm sending you to the office. If we can make that actually the fabric of school, that's the expectation, and no longer the expectation that we do an office referral or we send them to the principal or we send them home for 3 or 5 days. If we can change that, then I think we're going to see schools that are vibrant and that, you know, really reflect the needs of all young people.